Taylor Swift is doing a concert in Nashville and in Chicago. A coordinate grid is superimposed onto a map. Nashville is at 3, -4, and Chicago is at 2, 6. Taylor Swift also wanted to stop in Terre Haute, Indiana, which is halfway between the two cities. It also tells us that 1 unit is about equal to 46.8 miles. So the first thing it asks, part A, what are the coordinates of Terre Haute, Indiana? So remember that it told you that Terre Haute, Indiana is halfway between the two cities. So when you see the word halfway, that's a key word that should trigger you to think midpoint. So what we're going to do is find the midpoint. And I want to draw you a quick picture just to kind of visualize what we're talking about here. So it says that Nashville is at 3, -4. So 3, -4. So here's Nashville. I'm going to put an N there. And then Chicago is at 2, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2, 6 would be up here. That's Chicago. So if I connected these two dots here, I'm going to just do it like a dotted line in between, and then I found exactly halfway between them, it would be like somewhere in here. And we're thinking that's probably Terre Haute, Indiana. So I want to find the point that's exactly in the middle of my 2 points. So like I already said, we're going to use the midpoint formula. So I'm going to write the formula out here just in case you forgot what it is. It's really good to keep writing these formulas over and over again. I know it seems tedious, but I think it's the best way to help you remember the formula and really commit it to memory. All right, so I need to label my points x1, y1 and x2, y2, and it does not matter which one I label as which. So I'm just going to say my first point is x1, y1, and then my second point would be x2, y2. So let's go ahead and plug in our numbers. So x1 is 3 plus x2, which is 2, and then I'm dividing that by 2. That's part of our formula. And then my y1 and y2 are -4 and 6, and then divided by 2. So now we have to simplify. 3 plus 2 is 5. -4 plus 6 is 2. And then if I divide these, 5 divided by 2 is going to give me a decimal, and that's okay. So I'm just going to write down that it's -2.5. Sorry, not -2.5, just regular 2.5, positive. And then my next one would be 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So my midpoint here, halfway between, is 2.5, 1. And if you look at my picture, you know, it's not super accurate, but it looks like this might be about halfway between 2 and 3. And then it looks like it's about 1 unit up. So sometimes pictures are good not only to help you figure out what to do, but then to see if your answer looks reasonable. All right, now part B, what is the approximate distance between the two cities? So we're not talking about Terre Haute anymore. We're not going to use our midpoint. We're all done with that. We want to know what's the distance between our original points, between Nashville and Chicago. So the key word here is distance, so we're going to use the distance formula. So I'm going to write that down again. So it's the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And my points are already labeled, so I'm just going to plug them right in. So x2 is 2 minus x1, which is 3. And then y2 is 6 minus y1, which is -4. 2 minus 3 is -1. And 6 minus -4 is actually 10 squared. Okay, so what I have here is 1 squared, which is 1. Sorry, -1 squared, which is still 1. And then plus 10 squared, which is 100. So my distance here is the square root of 101. Now normally that would be fine. You could leave it as a radical. But it says what is the approximate distance. So it doesn't say what it wants us to do here is it wants us to use this piece of information, which is telling us that 1 unit is about 46.8 miles. So our distance right now is in units, but we want it to just be in miles. We want to know, like, what does that actually mean if we took that information off the map? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our square root of 101 units and we're going to multiply it by the amount of miles that each unit is worth. So we're going to take the square root of 101 and we're going to multiply it by 46.8. And that is going to tell us the amount of miles they actually are apart from each other. So if you put that into your calculator, it's going to give you a crazy decimal, and we're just going to approximate because we don't want to write down all these decimals. It doesn't tell us how to round, so I'm just going to give us, I'll write down what it actually is. It's 470.3341791, but I think it would be good enough to just say that it's approximately 470 miles. So the two cities are about 470 miles apart.